there, folks. Welcome back. You're watching BSG Online 7. My name is TinyTim78, and we have a fantastic run coming up for you. However, we are the Benelux Speedrunner Gathering. We organise bi-monthly gatherings in the Benelux for speedrunners. Due to the situation surrounding COVID-19, we're currently doing our events online for the time being. And this event features streamers from both the Benelux and the rest of the world, bringing you entertainment during a lockdown. We are raising money for Mind, which is a nationwide organisation committed to preventing mental health issues and to support everyone who is dealing with mental issues themselves or within their family. All of your donations will go towards Mind. Okay, we now have the next run, which is going to be DemonicRobots with Control. Please take it away.
Alright, hey there everyone, my name is DemonicRobots and welcome to Control. This is a third-person action game made by Remedy, who did Max Payne, Alan Wake. We're gonna get started right here. So there was a incentive for the costume choice. Normally we shouldn't actually be able to like access the costumes. However, we do have some special files that let us like actually spawn with the right costumes. So you guys actually did a bid for the asynchronous costume. So we're gonna be using that for a majority of the run. But we're gonna get started right here, and time is going to begin when I skip the opening cutscene. So it should be popping up here in just a second. So time is going to be beginning in 3, 2, 1, go. So we start off right here with our very first skip of the game, watercolor skip, just skipping some movement. But welcome to the oldest house. The oldest house is the home of the Federal Bureau of Control. Basically, if you know what SCP is, they're very similar to that, where they essentially handle like paranormal objects and entities, and that's kind of their goal. And the reason Jessie is here is because she has learned that her brother, who was kidnapped 17 years ago, should be in this area. So her goal is to find her brother and stop what is going on in the oldest house as well, which we'll find out later on. But this is the touching boomer tale of somebody working their way up to the top. Jessie here starts out as the janitor's assistant and goes all the way up to the director of the FBC. So that's going to be basically the beginning area of this game. We come in here, we find Director Trench, who is actually the voice actor for the original Max Payne. We're going to find a weapon here called the Cirrus weapon. This is going to be the only weapon that we have in the entire game. Basically, it is a weapon or a gun that can essentially transform itself into other types of guns, so like a shotgun, sniper. We're going to be pretty much only using one of them though, and that's going to be the pistol. But that's going to be our main weapon, and that's also what gives Jessie the ability to be the director. Is essentially it's kind of like Excalibur, only the chosen one can wield it. So because she can wield it, that automatically makes her the director of the FBC. We got some combat tutorial here right now. If you're wondering why she touched a gun and got magically transported to a magical world, I have about as much of a idea as to why as you guys do. So we got some combat here. Melee in this game is actually really effective. So we want to kind of time it with our shots. The gun doesn't actually have any ammo. It basically works as like an energy meter. So it will basically recharge after not being used for a certain amount of time. Just like this. So typically combat is going to be us balancing that with melee and our other abilities for that stuff. This area is very combat focused, but I'm also going to show off a little trick right here. So I'm going to look over into this corner, and what I'm doing is I'm manipulating the spawns of the enemies, so they'll spawn right here. This is a really important key to combat. Sometimes enemies will be able to be manipulated like this. Sometimes they won't be able to. It kind of just depends. Like these two are always going to spawn in the same spot, but that is a kind of a big part in this early game, is getting some good spawns for combat. So we got some more enemies right here. I'm killing these guys in a very specific way. I actually don't want to go down into that little stairway until after all these guys are dead, because that will spawn in this sub enemy. This isn't a boss, but it's like kind of just a powered up like common enemy, but there we go. And that was actually a pretty good section. So right here, we are going to be learning more about the Hiss. These are actually employees of the FBC who are taken over by a paranormal entity called the Hiss. It is worth noting that the Hiss is able to usually invade pretty much anybody not wearing a special thing called the HRA. However, Jessie, because she has a voice in her head, she is protected by the hiss, so she doesn't need the chest rig that you're going to see pretty much all the other NPCs wearing. But here we go, we're actually going to meet some of our fellow employees of the FBC who are taking refuge in this shelter. It's worth noting that we actually allow a macro in order to skip all of these cutscenes really quick, because otherwise you'd have to advance it line by line, and you would basically just hear my spacebar completely spamming for the entirety of all of these. So thankfully we have a macro which makes it so I just have to hold down a button. You're also going to see me quit out here. We time by LRT rather than RTA for the official leaderboard timing. So because of that, there are times where we're basically going to be quitting out. And whenever you load back into the game, it'll take you back to your most previous control point, which essentially acts like a bonfire in a Dark Souls game. So it skips us having to go back there. That is one of the few that is actually slower RTA for the most part, but faster LRT. Most of the time though, they are both faster RTA and LRT, so usually they're worth doing in a lot of spots. Here we have some more combat. Because we just got to the facility, Jessie doesn't have a whole lot of her powers, so because of that we can't really skip anything just yet. So got a lot of combat heavy focused stuff, but a main aspect of this game is whenever we get a new ability, we could use that new ability to break the game almost immediately. Like, it's kind of funny how literally every single new power we get, we're able to break the game with it, like 30 seconds after we get it. But yeah. Gonna be getting this next control point. A few of these are optional, some of them are required. This is one of the required ones because we actually can't continue without it. There are a couple of required ones that we can actually skip. But yeah. This is actually a good point to mention. The reason that the category is called any % legacy standard is for a couple of reasons. Also, don't mind that guy. Any % basically means, you know, complete the game with any game completed, or any amount of the game completed. Legacy means that we're playing on patch 0.96, which is the earliest release of the game. And standard means that there is no restriction on us going out of bounds. So the other variants would be like any % current patch inbounds, which means you'd be playing on the current patch, so the latest release of the game. And you'd also be required to stay in the bounds of the game's map. However, because that is not the category we're doing today, we are able to go out of bounds with a specific amount of abilities. The main one is going to be with this launch ability. So basically we have a floppy disk with Soviet and nuclear launch codes, and because, you know, they're launch codes, we're able to launch things with our mind. So pretty much after you get any power, you kind of go into this little tutorial area in the part of the game called the astral plane, which is tied to the board, which is tied to the foundation, which is tied to how Jessie has these abilities. So we're gonna do this. So this is the first skip of the game. This is called No Mossy. The 90% in the intended main game has 2 required bosses. This skips one of them. So what we did right there is we picked up an object, we jumped into the object, and then we let go of the object as we were holding it and inside of it. And because of that, when we let go of the object, it gets back its hitbox. So because of that, whenever you're stuck in an object in this game, it tries to fix that by pushing you upwards. And it pushed us upwards so hard that we basically clipped through the floor. And we actually skipped kind of one of the harder boss fights in the game with Tomasi. I know a lot of casual playthroughs actually ended on that boss fight because it was so difficult. But in this round, we do not have to do it. We literally just stand on that box and push ourselves through the wall, and we're good to go. Or I guess I should say the floor. This is actually a pretty kind of different area for that, because normally a lot of the game has a lot of triggers that you have to hit in order to avoid soft locking, whereas that's not really common in this early game area. So it's kind of lucky that we don't have to worry about that, and we can continue on normally. But here we are, we're heading towards our next objective. This is a lore item that we are binding ourselves to, which is what it's called when Jessie gets new power. She's binding herself to the object. This is a lore item. It doesn't actually give us any special ability. This is just all for the story, but it's basically how both the spooky board right over there, the Black Pyramid, is able to contact us, as well as formerly deceased members, how Director Trench is able to talk to us still, and a bunch of, other weird lore stuff. Here we go. This is gonna be the first quit out where it's much faster to do this quit out RTA wise. than to actually like walk all the way back, because we need to head back to the Central Executive, which is where Emily is. Emily's kind of our liaison for this early game, kind of telling us where to go, what to do, all that stuff. But here we go. This is going to be the first kind of major difficult split of the game. We are going to be heading to the maintenance sector in order to enact the directorial override. So right now, because of the hiss, the oldest house is on lockdown. So because of that, Jesse needs to go to the override and actually fix it and unlock it, because the key for it is the service weapon, and the only person that can use the service weapon is the director. We're also going to get a couple of upgrades there. We get some energy and some launch. Both of those are very important for the run. I didn't get the skip. This area is actually really difficult for a couple of reasons when you're trying to do it correctly, but this is where the game starts to get a little bit broken. But basically, what you're supposed to do casually is you're supposed to head here, you find Auntie, and then you fix both the energy converter and the coolant pumps in order to fix the basically the thing that powers the entirety of the oldest house. However, Jesse is a little bit lazy, so we're not going to be doing any of that. What we're going to do here is kill these guys. We're going to do another clip out. So again, like I said, we can go out of bounds. It depends on the object. Sometimes it's a little bit easier with different objects. Sometimes it's a little bit harder. This barrel's an example of a difficult one, but we got it first try. Awesome. This skips us having to prevent a soft lock by hitting some weird triggers, and also skips basically having to grab that control point, which would actually be bad. Also gonna grab this forklift chassis. This is probably the best object to clip out of bounds with. And then Jesse is gonna climb up here, climb over here, and we get to skip that fight as well. So here's gonna be the first side quest that we're gonna be doing. This is to actually gain another ability. This technically isn't a required quest, but it's the first side quest of the game, and it's kind of basically required. And the game makes like a very important note of it about, you know, how you have to, you know, explore around and find things. But this is how we're going to get our ability called Evade. Evade is basically a dash. This is one of the most important objects because it really enables us to go out of bounds and navigate it pretty easily before we get our levitation ability. We're going to do a little skip here if I can get it. Yeah, this is called Astral Boink. So like I said, when you are stuck into objects, the game will try and push you upwards. So that's kind of what happens there. We get stuck in the hitbox, and the game like wants to push us upwards, so it pushes us to the top of that. And we skip part of the evade tutorial. So we're actually going to be doing a little bit of a different route. If you've seen most of the any percent runs at marathons before, that was before the usage of Shieldy got really popular. Shieldy is going to be a glitch that we're going to be seeing later on, but this is one of the big changes already. So yeah, if you've seen like Brian Otto's GDQ run or one of the more recent ones, you're going to be probably surprised at what we have here. So this is going to be the first skip. Normally we would have to go talk to Ati, who is the janitor who tells us like what to go do. However, we're just going to clip out of bounds right here. And now we're going to move in a specific way in order to hit some triggers. So we're going to jump over here, make sure we're hitting that trigger. And now, because we hit all those triggers and we got our evade ability, we can basically just go to the end of the level instead of doing the objectives. So even though it wants us to find Ati and do all that stuff, we're just not going to do that. Got a little bit of combat here. Combat in this game is very important to get down. You kind of just have to get used to it and know what to do. Enemies will typically move in very similar patterns. But yeah, the launch is also really important. It's going to be our main damage dealer throughout the run. Typically what you'll see me try to do is I try to get things that I call pull-throughs, where basically I will grab an object behind an enemy, and as Jesse is pulling it to her, it'll hit the enemy. So I can basically hit them for twice with only one throw, which is really good. But there we go, we have turned off the directorial override now with our service weapons, so now we have access to the rest of the oldest house. We're gonna go speak with Emily again, and now we have to go find a character called Marshall. Marshall is the head of security for the oldest house, and is basically like the character that obviously knows more than they're letting on, but won't tell us because the protagonist has to stay shrouded in mystery. You know, basic like speedrunner, or not basic speed, basically like spooky story stuff. We're also gonna upgrade our launch ability, so you'll see numbers next to enemies' names. This game kind of has like a pseudo like level up system, where the higher an enemy's level is, the tougher that they are. Because of that, we don't actually have time to really get very many upgrades or mods for our gun, which is what the game wants you to do. So because of that, our service weapon is woefully underpowered later on, and our main damage dealer is going to be our launch ability. Here we go, we are in the research sector though. This is actually my favorite area of the game. This is one of my favorite skips. This one is like where you really start to see the game start to break. So we're gonna clip out of bounds using this, if it will let me. Come on, push me out. Come on, I know you want to. This is a little bit finicky. Everyone calls this a fridge. I know it's not a fridge, but I don't know what else to call it. There we go. They're gonna see me do some weird movement here. I'm actually like hitting a bunch of objective triggers in order to avoid soft locking the game, which is a thing that happens a lot during runs if you aren't careful. We focus right here really quick. Gotta drop down in kind of a weird way. Like we have to touch this wall, but if you get too close to it, if you get too close to it, then you get stuck in the wall. So that's a very like common thing with the out of bounds navigation. It's very easy to either get stuck out of bounds or even worse, get stuck in a wall. And that's something that I try to avoid as much as possible.
Hello?
Hey, Bucky. Yep, so it's gonna be my other commentator as well.
What's going on?
Yep, so that was research skip. Just got done with that, and now we are getting into the combat.
Okay, I can't see anything, but
yeah, you just go over to my Twitch, and I'm streaming there.
okay.
So this is actually kind of one of the more heavier combat focused areas, and you want to do this in a specific way to kind of manipulate the enemies into being in a good spot.
Another thing worth mentioning is this is the part of the run where we start to see level or tier 2 mod drops. So right now we're looking for tier 2 drops such as like dodge efficiency and maybe launch efficiency or energy recovery. Because that's when they first start showing up here. The mods don't really help that whole much. I think the strongest one that we can get is either energy or dodge, because dodge will give us an extra dash. But yeah, it is definitely nice to have. Gives us more breathing room.
Where is his last enemy? He's kind of being annoying.
Oh.
Yeah, where is he?
Hi, commentator.
Let's see. I don't know where this guy is. Did I miss it? What?
Yeah, this is.
Oh, there he is. Hi, bud. Yeah, for whatever reason, sometimes enemies just don't want to attack you, which is kind of nice if you're doing it casually, because then they don't shoot at you. But for a speedrun, it's bad because then I can't find them.
Yeah, they like to hide all over the place.
Yeah. But that fight is kind of the first one that really shows the enemy variety in this game. You have that big old hiss ball, which will heal enemies around, and also kind of is hard to hit. We have these guys right here. Essentially, if they get close by to us, they will explode like that. Same thing when they die. And then we have the big guys who had the grenade launcher with a shield around him. Those guys you actually want to melee or use your launch on them, because that will break their shield. If you try to use their service weapon, it just does not work. There we go. Now we can actually head over to talk to Marshall. Grab this control point because we'll need it later. So again, like I said, Marshall is kind of important in the lore, but not very important for the speedrun. She basically just keeps that door locked until we talk to her, and also gives quote-unquote hints for a puzzle. Alright, so I'm gonna do some, again, camera manipulation here, if possible. Like I said earlier, oh shoots, that's not great.
Yeah, this is one of these fights that can go wrong in many different ways, but he wants to be moving with and keeping as many of the enemies in front of him as possible, so the second wave spawns up front.
Exactly.
There's also a couple of friendly enemies that he is gonna want to try to keep alive because they can help do damage here and there.
They're also kind of a good distraction, so that all the enemies aren't completely focused on me. Especially these exploding guys, because they'll just get basically close to those enemies and blow up immediately, so I don't have to kill them.
Yeah, absolutely. They keep the pressure off of you, for sure.
All right.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So this isn't technically a boss, but it is kind of a sub-boss. That's like the way that I describe all these enemies that are named, but they're essentially just common enemies, just a little bit boosted up. This guy is also one of the reasons that we play on patch 0.96 of the game and not patch 1.0, is because on 1.0 it will take 2 hits to break his shield. However, when we are doing this on 0.96, it'll only do 1. It'll only take 1. Here we go.
Yeah, it'll take 1 hit from launch. Very nice.
So normally I like to get dodge efficiency there, but we actually got a really good energy boost, so I will take that.
I think that levels out even.
And now we are good to go on combat for the rest of this mission. Pretty much just got a little bit of a puzzle to go on to. Lore-wise, basically what we're doing is we are trying to find something called a BlackRock processor, which will allow people to make more HRAs, which are the things that everybody else is wearing except Jesse, that protects them from getting turned into the hiss enemies. And it's made using this BlackRock. However, it's going to shatter, and our next mission is going to be basically to find another piece of it. But nothing else special going on right now. But however, now would be a good time for donations, if there are any.
Thank you very much indeed. Yes, I'd just like to remind everyone that we are raising money for Mind, which is a nationwide organisation committed to preventing mental health issues and to supporting everyone who is dealing with mental issues themselves or within their family. All of donations do go towards Mind, so please get them in. Excuse me. Excuse me. Oh dear. We would also want to thank ESA for supporting the event and for allowing us to stream on their channel. For information about their upcoming events and any changes due to the COVID-19 outbreak, be sure to check out esamarathon.com. And you can consider using your free monthly Prime Gaming subscription right here on the ESA channel. That will get you access to all of the ESA emotes as well as several BSG emotes. And you get to support both of the events. Back to you, Demonic.
All right, so now we are starting Threshold, which ironically is basically the mission that is a threshold for whether or not you have a run. Bucky, would you like to explain what we're going to be doing here?
So we're actually going to be going out of our way to do another side mission to get another movement ability. But it's not actually a movement ability. We're going out of our way to get shield, which you were mentioning earlier. Because we had a pretty major routing change pretty recently with some tech we found with this. But so first of all, we're going to be doing this funny clip out here called field training skip like V3. And it's going to get on top of this elevator and then drop down to hopefully activate this mission.
Can I save this?
Did the door unlock?
I think it does. I just gotta hit the good defense, maybe?
Did you get maybe if you got the mission?
Okay, got the mission. Let's see if I can save this. Yes, okay. We're good.
Nice,
okay.
Very nice. Yeah, so, okay, that works out. Yeah, so whenever you hit that trigger out of bounds, for whatever reason, the door just unlocks, and that skips having to do a obstacle course. So, you know, then he just has to interact with the safe, and it sends him into the tutorial, which we then just dash straight to the end.
Yeah.
We don't actually have to use the shield here if you're fast enough.
Alright, I hate this climb up. This is always awkward. There we go.
There you go. Nice.
This is also a good example of how, this game likes to drop your inputs because it doesn't buffer them. So if you press your evade ability like right before it's about to like get off the cooldown, if you press it too early, it'll go like, oh, nope, sorry, it didn't happen. You didn't press the button.
Give you another 0.2 second cooldown. Yeah, that's fun stuff. Alright, very nice. Finishes the mission, and then now you're going to go straight into the next shieldy, right?
Yep, we have the best and worst ability in the game.
Movement tech in the game. Yeah, so how this works is we interact with the menu, and then we pop up shield right before the menu comes up. And that, for whatever reason, it just sends us flying whenever we have the shield active and we go through a loading zone or fast travel to another part of the same map. So we use that to actually skip another skip. So we call that boxy skip.
Yeah, normally we would get a box and then get Jessie into the box, and then she would magically fly up through a shortcut. Oops. However, we get to skip that, which made me very upset. It made a lot of other people happy because they didn't like that skip. I love that skip, but what can you do? But yeah, that is a little hint as to what Shieldy is like. It gets way worse. It's basically like no clipping, only you can't control the no clipping.
You have some input over it. It's just, if it decides to do what it wants, then you're merely negotiating with it.
Exactly.
So the next one, he's actually going to go back to the same place and fly straight to like the last part of the entire mission, pretty much, because we need to...
Oh, this might be bad.
Oh.
Okay. So this sometimes happens. Like I said, this is a very buggy skip, but I think I can save this.
Oh, you're doing something weird.
I tried to go high enough so I can like just fall down onto here, which actually worked. So I will take that. Okay, so yeah, sometimes you just gain infinite height for some reason. Go, and we are in. See, it worked perfectly as intended.
Yes. So as I said, this is the last part of the mission, but unfortunately we have to go back and hit several triggers in order to progress past this point.
Yeah, if this game didn't have like objective triggers in it, we literally would be able to basically just like go to the end of the game every time and just like immediately fly to the end. Wow, I missed that twice. All right, let's try it. Third time's the charm. Oh my god, okay, it's fine.
Yeah, the timing for these inputs is somewhat precise.
There we go.
There.
I'm also not 100% sure, but I think maybe the FPS changes it, and I'm playing with a really high FPS right now, so. Here we go, this shieldy kind of sucks, but we'll try for it anyway. Oh wow, it happened again. Can we save this? See if we can. We saved the other one. Oh, no. Okay, that's fine.
No, it totally deloaded. That happens.
Yeah, so...
Can you start screen sharing in Discord? Because I have like a 10-second delay. If not, then that's fine. Okay, cool.
Alright, so we're gonna try that again. Yeah, if you want to explain what usually like is going on, like how we have to hit the buttons and all that stuff, and like how we do the movement properly. Because if you guys don't know, I'm not just like holding W and then aiming in a direction. I'm like holding like A and S to go forward while looking in a specific direction while mashing my jump key to move in a certain way. There we go.
Yeah, it's some very peculiar movement tech I found. I called it shield gliding, which works pretty much as he said. You kind of hold back into the side. There's some places where you want to hold W and D. It really just depends on where you are on the map. There you go, that's nice. So yeah. That is right after where we would usually talk to Arish. We have to do this part as intended. Encountering the best enemy in the game.
This is actually kind of like version 3 of a skip called Who is Arish. The reason it's called Who is Arish is because despite him being a pretty important like NPC and actually like one of my favorite characters, with all of the skips that we have, we literally just completely skip him in all of his game stuff.
We never see Arish. It's easier now than ever.
Yeah, poor Arish feels bad. Best character in the game, and he just gets completely like destroyed by speedrunning.
So that was the second and third trigger we needed to hit. And we have one more we have to hit here, so we just smash everything away and then going back.
Fortunately, this should be kind of an easier shieldy if I don't get some weird stuff going on. Yep, there we go.
Very nice.
Yeah, so normally you're supposed to unlock this door. However, if you just walk into the door, we hit the trigger for it and we don't need to unlock it. Which means we don't need to grab the key card, which means, you know, we're basically skipping a good chunk of the game.
I don't think we even get clearance anymore before talking to Dylan.
Yeah, not like we only get it in cutscenes. We don't get it anywhere else. Normally you can do a shieldy here. However, it's kind of funny. Getting out of bounds, really easy with shieldy. Staying in bounds, really difficult with shieldy.
That is true, yeah.
So normally I would do a shieldy here to basically clear all this like area really quickly, and then you only like clip through one small wall. However, it's really easy to end up going out of bounds by accident. And it gets really painful to navigate, so I'm not going to do it. It's also one of the few shieldies where you can't mash jump, yeah. Right now, shieldy is kind of dangerous for the simple fact that if something happens and we like don't gain enough height, or you know, we're too close to the ground, it's really easy to die because we don't have our levitate yet, and you take fall damage in this game. So you have to be very, very careful. There we go. That's going to be the black rock. We wait for the objective to update, and now we can head back to the central executive.
Looks like you got a dodge efficiency too.
You're right. I'm going to equip that. Only a 10, but that's good enough for me.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, with those dodge efficiencies at that tier, they can be between 10% and 12%. 12% is usually what we want to get that extra dodge immediately. However, I think the 10% even helps once we get more energy.
Yeah, I think it helps at this point even, but like you said, anything gives us more breathing room, which is all we're looking for, really.
Yeah. Alright, now we are heading to the containment sector to go get our brother finally. It's kind of funny, like we go here to find our brother and Jessie just gets really distracted. Like me, she has like ADHD, so she's just like, oh yeah, now I gotta go deal with this and do this. And then finally the game's like, oh yeah, you remember that brother you have? That's like your main motivation. You have to fight them, or find them now. So this is actually kind of funny. We used to do a trick here called My Brother's Neum. However, we don't do it anymore because we learned that it was slower despite us thinking it was faster, which it's kind of a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because it was kind of a crappy glitch. It's a bad thing because it was also kind of fun and utilized some tech that isn't really around anymore, except for a little part right here. But we're gonna be doing something called a neum. So whenever you mantle out of bounds, or not out of bounds, but like whenever you mantle onto something that's like either tries to do a double mantle or it doesn't know where to put you, it puts you at the 000 coordinates of that loaded cell, so we can essentially use it to teleport.
Yeah, it tries to move you there, but you get stopped on whatever's in the way. So we, like you said, we use it to warp to different places.
So hopefully I do the one I want to do and not the one on accident. And I did the one on accident. Oh, yeah, I can't save that.
Maybe?
So you can't actually control the mantle, so sometimes that happens because she'll mantle onto the wrong spot and you get teleported into an area that you're not supposed to be teleported to. It's really weird how the trick works. I just know like you go to the 0 coordinates, but I don't know how it considers X or Y to be the 0 coordinates of something, so it's kind of a wonky glitch.
Yeah, whenever you see it on the map, it's not like in the middle of the screen or anything. It's really weird.
Oh my god, I did it again. That's fine though, at least I didn't get teleported out of bounds.
Yeah, this clip out's also just very, very tricky. Like it's easy to just mantle out by accident. Oh, almost.
Come on. Oh my god. This chassis is supposed to be like the best item to clip out with in game. Oh my god, I did it again. Wait, I can save it.
Nice, very nice.
Okay, that works.
We take those.
Oh god. And
Oh, no.
nope.
Ah,
Okay, so what we're doing here, so normally in the game, there's these things called the Ocean View Motel areas. We've seen them a little bit, where you click a light switch 3 times, and when you click that light switch 3 times, you get teleported to the Ocean View Motel, which is in-game supposed to be like a little puzzle that you're supposed to do. However, these areas are already loaded into the game, so if you know where they are out of bounds, you can just go to them out of bounds. And that's kind of what we're doing here.
yeah, we're kind of just dropping right into the last room and just finishing.
Yeah, this skips the puzzle,
Getting out.
this skips having to go to it. Okay, I actually show this off
There
properly
you
now.
go, that's how it's supposed to work.
Stuck under here. Alright, let's try that again, please. And not have anything go wrong. Oh, okay, we're good.
Okay, we take it.
There we go. Also, fun fact, you're not really supposed to get a loading screen here, but because we glitch into the ocean view, we get one. Which is kind of funny. We come over here, we open that door, and when the door opens, we hit the trigger for it, and we can move on. So the Panopticon is basically a jail for all the altered items and altered people who are like, you know, have paranormal stuff about them. So it's essentially a prison, but for objects that are magical in nature. There's a bunch of these. Unfortunately, we're not going to see any of them, which is kind of sad, except for the Benelux TV for like 2 seconds. This area is like probably the biggest change, or the second biggest change, when it comes to introducing Shieldy into the route. Like normally you're supposed to like go on an elevator and ride the elevator, and it's actually a good time for donations. However, we're going to be skipping that because of Shieldy. If it'll give me some height.
Are you doing the whole thing with the TV skit?
Health to go through. So this used to be the only like real boss fight that we had in the game for any percent.
And then we figured out how to like lobotomize him.
Yeah, that's kind of the wording I would use, because for whatever reason, we're going to do a glitch, and that glitch is going to make it so the boss will just spawn in and not do anything.
Yeah, so this involves, he's setting up a shieldy just to fly across the bridge here, just to save some time. And then we're going to go trigger the TV cutscene, and then quit out immediately, because the TV cutscene just sets up the AI, I guess, just enough so that we can actually start the fight and get to where we can finish it. So yeah, start the cutscene, quit out, then we go back, and then we can just shieldy right up into the boss chamber. So that actually skips like a 50-second unskippable cutscene as well. You will see in a second here.
Which is kind of sad because it's a really cool cutscene.
It is a cool cutscene, but
again, Shieldy has very good and very bad things about it. There we go. Alright, we want to land up here because otherwise the AI will not work. Gonna wait for my energy to pull up, so we need to kill all these guys and the boss.
And we take out the ads because their AI actually does work. And literally Salvador was just hanging in the air, not doing anything. We take out the ads because they have the potential to lose us the most time, as they like to hide.
Yep, like this guy down here who's trying to hide, but I saw his like name tag right at the last second. There we go. And this is the boss.
We just go hard. Yeah. The boss is just static in the air. I'm just unloading mag after mag.
And now we get to the TV, which is going to give us a new ability. We can now fly.
We can now fly, and if the game wasn't busted enough already, this ability lets us bust it even further.
Yep. So now when we do shieldies, normally when we like do shieldy, while you're holding the shieldy, because you're technically using an ability, your energy won't regenerate, which is what we need for dodges. However, when we are levitating, it will regenerate. So because of that, we can use shieldy, get up high, levitate down slowly, get our evades, so we have much farther movement, and it's also safer too. So now with our shieldies, in theory, we should be able to basically like recover more easily if we mess up our shieldy. It also kind of fixes a glitch where we no longer sink to the bottom of the ground if we're near it whenever we don't, or whenever we have shieldy but we don't have levitate. So that's another good thing about it as well. Because sometimes when you're doing shieldy without levitate, for whatever reason, if you let go of the shieldy, it will just sink your character down to the ground and kill you immediately. It's great.
There's a lot of peculiar things about that glitch for sure. Oh, are you too high?
I am too high.
Oh, yikes. I just do the old skip.
Yeah, normally we can drop down straight into there and skip a cutscene. However, I'm just gonna do the old-fashioned way. So like I said though, whenever we get a new ability, we can use it to immediately break something. This one isn't as prominent, but it still is a skip. We kind of rub ourselves up here, get that jump, and we skip having to take an elevator. Or not an elevator, we skip having to like do a bunch of platforming to get up here. But here we go. This is where we're supposed to find Dylan, our brother who's been missing for 17 years. Oh, nope, just a prank. He's not here. It turns out he...
pull a fast one on you?
Yeah, and it turns out he was just at the central executive, no problem. So this is where we learn, though, that Dylan, our brother, has been infected by something called the Hiss, which is, like I said, that's like the main thing in this game, the main enemy that corrupts people. However, this one is a little bit different. For whatever reason, he's not like an enemy. He still is kind of himself, but not really. And he doesn't like the Bureau very much. You know, they've only imprisoned him for like 17 years and experimented on him. I can't see why they would... or why he would dislike them, but, you know, that's his own prerogative. There we go, we have to talk to her, and now we have access to speak to Dylan. He actually has the longest section of dialogue in the game that we are going to completely skip over. So as you can see, you know, he's just floating around. He has kind of magical powers like Jessie does as well. It's kind of implied that he's actually stronger than her, but because of his corruption with the Hiss, he basically is like not able to control it properly.
You would think that it's leading up to a big fight, but never mind, that's a spoiler.
Alright, this is probably the quickest mission in the game that's like actually out of the intro, for the simple fact that we don't actually have to search for a lot of triggers. So because of that, it's like really easy to just literally go to the end of the level.
Very true. Yeah, this is one of the biggest and also one of the oldest skips found. Called the Space of the Enemy skip. Minus the shieldy part, because that was pretty recent.
Yeah.
Oh, you're doing something I haven't seen before. Yeah, so the first trigger is that we have to hit is actually by this elevator. We have to go all the way down to the bottom and then touch this ledge, which is kind of scary, and nice job. We fly back up, and that was the first trigger we have to hit. The second one is going to be over this really big, gigantic room. Across the way, there's going to be like an orange light that he has to fly over, and that's going to be the second trigger. Yeah, there's the light.
Yeah, the developers like unintentionally gave us like the best tools that they could give for navigating out of bounds.
Yeah, imagine. I don't envy the people who've actually figured out how to do this. And then the third one is gonna be over this way. And we're pretty much just following the level inbounds, except from like the out of bounds. And this actually saves like actual minutes upon minutes of time. So that was the third trigger right there, and then if everything worked correctly, yeah, there you go. The fight spawns in, and we have any of these enemies spawned in. This is like the last fight in the game, pretty much. As
Yeah.
far as speedrun is concerned.
I thought that was gonna hit him. Oh, it still did. Cool.
And I don't know if you mentioned this, but this is the part of the run where we definitely are starting to feel underleveled because the game was balanced. The game was balanced around you exploring the environment, completing side missions, picking up extra abilities. We don't do any of that, and all of the upgrades and stuff that we get are just from completing the main missions and whatever the enemies we kill drop. So yeah, we're as you can see, the service weapon's a water pistol right now.
Yeah. I also want to mention that you've seen how this guy dodges. These enemies are a little bit more common in inbounds. Basically, these guys will try to dodge you, and then they have like a little cooldown for when they can't dodge you. We usually want to try and trigger their dodge before we throw anything at them, because then it, makes it so we can throw things. Those guys are pretty common in... Oh, hold on. Let me just get all these guys exploded. There we go. Those guys are really annoying in inbounds. However, here, that's pretty much the only instance we have going against them.
Yeah. And that was the entire mission. I think casually that is the longest mission.
Yeah, because normally you're supposed to go all the way around, do all this different stuff. You're basically like trying to figure out what happened to your hometown like a couple of years ago. But we're just not going to do any of that. Which is kind of good, because then you guys avoid spoilers.
This game is definitely very much worth playing if you haven't played it before.
Yeah, it's kind of nice because we actually skip a lot of the good parts about this game. So even though if you've watched this, you aren't like gonna get too spoilered, All right, so if you guys are wondering what we're doing another shieldy. I think you don't do this one, do you, Bucky?
No, I don't. I do the one to Parasite because it's shorter.
I don't know if it's short, but all right. Okay, that's kind of the fun thing is there's also a lot of different strategies and a lot of different shieldies that you can do that all have like relatively the same amount of time save.
Yeah, you can sort of do things different ways because there's easier strats than other, and I think they all come out around the same time, honestly.
Yeah, for most of the time it's like seconds that are a difference. Okay. Also, you're probably wondering why I'm like teleporting to a different control point and then teleporting to the one that I'm like shielding on. It's because like with these you have to... Ooh, this is actually pretty good. Alright, that's decent.
That's pretty good.
You basically have to be in the same sector as like the shield that you're going to, and you can't be too close to it, so you can't like do it when there's like two control points that are really close together.
Yeah,
I don't have a timer. Should I do? Okay, 12:04, 13:34.
Yeah, so he's actually counting 90 seconds after he hits that button. So there's a trigger at the other side of this that we have to hit, but it doesn't become active until 90 seconds after we hit that button, or just about 90 seconds. So we actually can hit that button and come across right away. We usually just look at our live split timer to see when we have to go back out. But yeah, this is like pretty much our downtime in the run.
Yeah, which means it is a great time for donations.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. I would like to remind everyone that we are raising money for Mind. Please get your donations in. We've currently raised €1,510. Please, please, please see if we can get some more in. And I'd also like to remind you, coming up very shortly, we do have the Worms Armageddon run, and we have a couple of incentives. But we've got an incentive and a bid war for that. We're needing €50 to see the end of the world. Please, please see if we can get that in. And then, if you want to customize your worms, we have the voice pack choice incentive. And there are so many amazing options on here. You can go with Angry Scots. I wonder if that's Argic. Drill Sergeant, Soul Man, Thespian, or Yorkshire Tykes, which sounds absolutely fascinating. None of these have got any donations towards them. So please, please, please get your donations in to choose the voice of your worms. Thank you very much indeed.
All right. So that multimedia in the corner that you saw there indicates that we hit the trigger properly. And now we are going to get our Walkman, which we are not going to use because we are just going to skip the coolest part of the game, which is good because you should play the game yourself and do this section blind. So this part of the game, we were supposed to be looking for Ahti, and we're supposed to like do a bunch of stuff to find him. However, because again, we're speedrunners, we're just gonna skip all of that. We're also heading towards probably, I would say, the hardest mission, and was originally also the most random mission. However, because of changes, thankfully, it's a little less random, kind of. You want to explain this, Shieldy?
So this is the unfortunate reality that is the Astray Maze skip.
Which we call no smoking.
Yeah, we call this no smoking now. But this is definitely like this was once again like one of the oldest skips, but not the Shieldy version. But this is definitely where shield fighting saves the most time over what we used to do before, which is just dashing through the void. So yeah, we're basically flying all the way to this fire break and then getting a whole bunch of heights to drop down onto the bridge.
Wow, that was like
nice.
Almost perfect.
Yeah, it was a pretty good spot. Usually what happens here is I fall like way too low and I can ruin everything, but that was pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah. So you're doing phase 1 skip?
Yes.
Okay, so what happens in the end is it's basically like your final boss fight. We have 6 siphons that we have to cleanse, and we found a way to skip the first 3 of them. So that actually starts out with us going out of bounds here. Unfortunately, there's no easy way to go out of bounds outside of just fast traveling away and using Shieldy to come back. But we use Shieldy to fly outside of this big big HRA door. We have to get to where we can pull the full block from out of bounds. Oh, that's interesting. Very nice.
It's consistent though. So yeah, thankfully we can grab these through the out of bounds. It can be a little finicky. You have to like angle yourself just perfectly to hit it. Oh.
Yeah, this one of the corners. Yeah, there you go.
And then the game tries to start a cutscene here. However, because we haven't hit the triggers, it doesn't until we do hit the triggers. So we go over here.
We do have to do this part without a HUD though, which is fun. So how do we get back inbounds here? There's actually an interactive thing. We can't really see it because we don't have a HUD, but we can fish around. Oh, nice, that was fast. So we interact with those TV screens, and that just warps us back inbounds. Then we go over there, and we have to let this cutscene play out. And I say that because I skipped it 3 or 4 times.
Oh, it happens all the time. It's the only cutscene we have to watch, and we don't even have to watch the entirety of it. We're only watching part of it until it like finishes on its own.
Yeah, it stops by itself. But once it does that, then the skip is done. We've skipped the first 3 siphons. The only downside is that we have to fast travel back away and fast travel back to get to siphon 4 because we can't get there. We can't just run through the door.
So this used to be the most RNG part of the game. You basically, whenever you're on the siphon, you have like a 7-second prompt that you have to do to interact with it. And if you get hit during that prompt, you are pulled off of it. And this 4th siphon used to be infamous for killing your runs because it would do exactly that. You would get hit by an enemy sometimes, or sometimes you wouldn't, and that would kill your run.
Until our man here just found a pretty base manipulation here.
Yeah.
We fly all the way to the top of the map and just float right on down. Is this gonna work?
Yep. Oh yeah, that'll work.
Okay,
so
cool.
If you go all the way over and you drop down on the right side of the siphon, for whatever reason, it'll spawn in 2 enemies, but it won't spawn in all the enemies, and these guys will not attack you. So this went from being like, I would say like 50% consistent where sometimes you would be able to get that siphon, sometimes you wouldn't, to being almost 100. And then now we only have 2 more, but these are significantly easier than the first 4. So now that we can skip them.
Stuff happened here last time.
Yeah, you did. Sometimes those enemies that I was mentioning earlier will spawn in late and they won't despawn even though they should. And it spawns a hiss cluster, which makes these guys consistently heal, which is bad. But thankfully we did not get that. Like you see right there, they spawned in and then they despawn immediately.
Wow, this is actually really fast. But the 6th siphon is pretty much free. There are a few ways that it can go wrong, but it almost never goes wrong. Yeah, business as normal here. And yeah, that is the end of the game. Or,
yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so a little bit of a spoiler here, so you might want to look away. But yeah, no, we get some credits, which means the game's over, right? That's definitely what it means. No, so this game actually has a fake credit sequence, so run's not over yet, don't tune out yet, don't stop the timer, we still have to do a little bit more of the game. But it's kind of funny because the game like starts you off, that cutscene where it's just like, you thought you were like doing the right thing, you think that you're saving the run, or saving the world and all that stuff, and then it's just like, nope, sorry, you failed, and then you lose. And like, I remember playing this the first time, and I got to that point, I didn't realize it was a fake ending yet. And I was just like so mad, because I'm like, they can't really have ended the game like that, that's so dumb. But yeah, normally in a lot of the earlier runs, it's tradition to like pretend that the run ends there, and then pretend that something is wrong with the game. However,
we always forget to clear that with tech.
Yeah, and usually I don't want to just spring it onto them completely randomly where they start freaking out and going like, oh my god, what's going on, what's wrong? Because that has happened once and I felt really bad about it.
Your boy Nico with the C actually did that. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. But we end up getting infected with the hiss, and we see Jesse's worst nightmare, which if you don't know, Jesse's worst nightmare is working a 9-to-5 office job. Which
work.
Yeah, which I can honestly relate to.
It's an unpaid internship.
Yep. And this is our main task, is cleaning up coffee cups, because you know the FBC really likes their coffee. Yeah, cleaning up coffee cups, delivering mail, copying files, all that stuff.
It's kind of funny how the run begins being execution heavy and then it ends being very execution heavy just at the end here.
Yeah, it's kind of nice because after doing Polaris, when you're doing like runs and you're on a PB pace, you kind of need the wind down. So it's actually nice to like not have anything to do up until the last trick of the game. But yeah, when you like do Polaris, you're kind of just like, oh my god, my heart rate's at like 150. I need to like calm down for a second. Because thankfully, like, there's only one, I wouldn't even say major trick. There's only like 1 or 2 more like tricks of the run. And usually, I'm gonna say usually because you can still lose runs to it, but usually when you get to this last mission, take control, typically you're like, you're good.
You already know what your time is gonna be, pretty much.
Yeah. Usually you're like gonna PB if you're on PB pace. I say usually because you can mess up. Also, did I get fake Noom? I did. For whatever reason,
nice.
We call that a fake Noom. So we talked about Nooms earlier, which is where I like to teleport going to the 000 coordinate. That's what we call a fake Noom, because it almost works in the same way where we mantle into a cutscene trigger, and during the cutscene, it will try to take us both to where we mantled and where the cutscene puts us after.
That is the only place we found a use for it, and it doesn't even save any time,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
We found another one, but not only does it not save time, it kills your run because it soft locks the game. And when we talk soft locks, oh yeah, when we talk about soft locks, usually we like are able to fix those soft locks pretty easily by just going to hit the trigger. It kills your run because, you know, you're losing the time to hit the trigger again. But like on no resets, you can continue your run. This was one of the triggers I found that you could not continue it. Because we're going to do one more interaction after we get out of this Ocean View Motel on a projector. And if you do a fake Neum on that projector, it will not take you to where you need to go, and there's no way to get to where you need to go anymore because the trigger's moved, because it's already like, well, you already, you know, touched it, so it should be fine, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. Also, sadly, we have now lost our asynchronous costume. Fortunately, there's no way to keep it after that sequence. There we go. We are now heading into the end game. Normally, this is like the area of the game where it's like you get super powered up, and even though the enemies are level 30, when for most of the game they've been level 6 or 5 at most, you're also like super powered up because the board gave you a power boost. However, we can skip all of this by just flying to the end. Oh, that's bad.
Oh, yikes.
Are we okay still?
Yeah, I think you're good.
I've never been that close to death right there.
Yeah, you just got headshotted or something.
Yeah, that sometimes happens. Headshots are critical hit points for enemies, but the sad thing is they are for Jesse as well. Good thing to mention at least is this game has like one-shot protection. You can't actually get one-shot in this game from full health, no matter what level you are. Like if an enemy's gonna do 150% of your health as damage, it only does like 99. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, the only time you can die is when the screen is red.
Yep. Here we go. We got our last little thing. For whatever reason, you're supposed to do those fights there. Yeah, there's just a hole in the wall. And we skip all those fights. And time is going to be coming up here in a second. We need to go touch Dylan. And when we interact with him, that will be the run. And I just want to give a quick thank you for BSG to have me. And time is going to end now.
Wow, you ended at like an hour flat.
Oh, really? Aw, man, I was so close to sub-hour. Oh, well. But,
I mean, that's still a good time.
Oh, yeah, I'm still pretty happy with that. But, thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope you enjoyed this run. This is one of my favorite speed games of all time, and I'm always really glad to be able to show this game off. Thank you for BSG for having me. I appreciate it. Always fun to do marathons. If you want to find more of my content, I do a lot of this game. Pretty much is the main game that I do. You can find me at twitch.tv/DemonicRobots. I also do a bunch of the other categories like all bosses, inbounds. There's a lot of really cool runs that you can do. And if you're interested in doing the run, we do have a Discord there where we have a bunch of people who do a bunch of the different categories. So no matter what you're interested in with this game, you'll find somebody who will help you out. Also want to give a quick shout out to Bucky here for being on commentary with me and helping me out. And yeah, that was Control. But before we end it, we got one little part left. Got a little Shawshank Redemption %.
That's the name of the movie.
That's always a requirement for your runs, otherwise it is invalid.
Auto rejection.
Yep. But yeah, thank you everybody for watching. Hope the rest of the marathon goes well, and good luck to all the other runners.
Well, thank you so much indeed, DemonicRobots. That was absolutely brilliant. Really, really enjoyed that. Very, very interesting game. Absolutely fantastic. We did receive one little donation. Oh, I'm just seeing we've received another donation.
Ooh.
So we've received €3 from Ashley, who just says Worms is hilarious. Thank you for that. And that goes towards the Drill Sergeant voice pack for the next run coming up.
That's
And I see, but let's get this, €10 from Twilight the Pony. Angry Scott says angry. That goes towards the Angry Scots voice pack for Worms. So you're running out of time on that. It's going to be closing pretty much immediately. So if you want to get your donations in for that, please do so. Thank you so much indeed for the fantastic run there, DemonicRobots. And yeah, stay tuned. We have a Ruffle Bricks with Worms Armageddon coming up. I'm going to be heading off now. I'll be handing over to Pikastrof. So thank you so much indeed, BSG. Keep those donations coming in, raising money for Mind. Cheerio for now.